Hi everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're here to talk about February's new releases. I meant to post this video a little bit earlier in February, but time got away from me. I'm trying to read 28 books in 28 days, and so I was mainly just reading for the first half of the month, but here we are. I have a lot of new releases to talk to you about today. I have no idea how many because I've got all these tabs open on my computer. I'm going to be staring at my screen a lot. There are a mixture of YA books and adult books. I don't think there are any middle grade on this pile. I don't tend to read middle grade, and so if you do want to find a list of middle grade somewhere, I'm sure there are other booktubers who do the same kind of video, and you can go and check out theirs and they'll probably list some middle grade new releases for you. But today we're going to be focusing on adult and young adult books. These aren't in any particular order, but I will try to remember to list the release date for you so that you know when these books are coming out. So this first book that I want to mention is one that came out in the US in November, but it's coming out in the UK this month. I think it's towards the end of the month. I do have it from NetGalley, and so I'm going to try to read it soon, and that is Secluded Cabin Sleeps 6. So this one says that it's about three couples who rent a luxury cabin in the woods for a weekend getaway to die for in this chilling locked room thriller. I don't typically read the synopses for thrillers, but that line kind of gives you the vibe of what this one's about, and I really enjoy weekend getaway books. I find them very interesting and fun, so I'm looking forward to reading this one very soon. Similarly, we also have The Writing Retreat. This one comes out on the 21st of February in the US, I think. I'm not sure about the UK. I did request an ARC, but I haven't been approved yet. It's still sat in my NetGalley queue, so I might pick it up soon. We'll see. This one is about a young woman who wants to become a published author, and she signs up for a writing retreat. She goes to it, I imagine it's in the Snowy Mountains, judging by this cover, and the host of the retreat wants all of the guests to write a brand new novel, and if they do that during this writing retreat, then they will win a massive publishing deal. So obviously the main character wants to do that, and then I imagine people start to die, and it sounds quite good. Next we have Delicious Monsters, and look at this cover, it's amazing. This tagline says that it's the haunting of Hill House meets Sadie in this evocative, mind-bending psychological thriller following two teenage girls navigating the treacherous past of a mysterious mansion 10 years apart. So dual timeline. I don't know if there's going to be like a podcast element in there, but I really hope so. I'm mainly here for the cover. This one's coming out on the 28th of February. It's a YA horror book. I'm going to see if I can get this on NetGalley. If not, then I might pre-order it because it sounds really good. On the Savage Side by Tiffany McDaniel comes out on the 14th of February. This is about 6 women who have gone missing, and it's by the author of Betty, which I do have on my shelf and I haven't read yet. Let me know if that's any good in the comments below. I'd love to check it out. I think this is inspired by a true story of 6 people who actually went missing in real life. From skimming the synopsis, it says that the 2 sisters can't escape the generational chaos that grips their family. I love generational stories and when you go back in time and learn family secrets, so I do think this is one that I'm going to enjoy. I'm really quite hopeful for this one. I haven't seen many people talk about it, but I might get my hands on it. Arch-Conspirator by Veronica Roth comes out on the 21st of February. This one I think is a short story from Tor, and it's another dystopian book by the author of Divergent. It says here that outside the last city on Earth, the planet is a wasteland. Without the archive where the genes of the dead are stored, humanity will end. I'm not going to read the rest of the synopsis because it's only a short story. I don't really need to know loads about this. I'm intrigued by it. I don't typically go for short stories, but I am familiar with Veronica Roth as an author, so maybe I'll check it out if I have the time. Next we have Murder at Haven's Rock by Kelly Armstrong. This is a adult mystery thriller, the first in a new series by her. Actually, this is the author of Women of the Other World, which I have read most of. I think I'm like over halfway through now. There's a lot of books in that series. She also has released a bunch of YA series as well, but this is her going back to adult and into the mystery thriller category. I think it's actually a spin-off of one of her other series, which I haven't read, but I do want to give this one a go at some point, I think, when I'm in the mood for some crime stories. It says here that deep in the Yukon wilderness, a town is being built, a place for people to disappear, a fresh start from a life on the run. Haven's Rock isn't the first town of this kind, something Detective Casey Duncan and her husband know firsthand. They met in the original town of Rockton, which I think is in her original series. There's only one rule in Haven's Rock: stay out of the forest. This one sounds quite good. It's probably going to be fast paced. I'm definitely going to read it when I'm in the mood for it. Then we have Sister, Maiden, Monster by Lucy A. Snyder. This is, I think, an adult horror fantasy book. It's set in the aftermath of the planet's transformation. It says it's disastrous, and it's told through the eyes of 3 women who are trying to survive the nightmare. Something about a virus, someone who has an appetite for a woman and her brain. This sounds dark. So I'm looking forward to reading it. Again, I've not really had many people talk about it, and I'm trying to tell what's going on the cover because I'm not entirely sure. It's a whole mixture of things. I think that's coming out on the 21st of February if I didn't say. Next we have Stone Cold Fox. This one is a debut novel. It's an adult mystery thriller. This is about a woman who wants to marry rich, and she has spent her entire life so far conning alongside her mother, who is a con artist, and the main character wants to leave her past behind in order to marry into this wealthy family, but I imagine stuff becomes exposed or comes to light and she has to try to either get out of there or join them. Next we have Marvelous by Molly Greeley. I don't know much about this one, I haven't really seen anyone talk about it at all. It's coming out on the 28th of February. I think it's a historical fiction novel with a little bit of fantasy thrown in. It's about a boy called Pedro who lives on the island of Tenerife, which is a setting that I haven't read about before. I have been to Tenerife though, and it's actually a really nice island. I did actually catch whooping cough while I was there, but that's nothing to do with the island itself. Yeah, I've got no idea what else this is about, but I like the cover and it might be something that I pick up at some point. Seven Faceless Saints comes out on the 7th of February, or came out because you'll be watching this after that. This is YA fantasy, and I really enjoy the cover. I think it's really cool. I think this is also a little bit of a murder mystery because there's a murderer in this fantasy city, and I think the main character, being a young adult in a young adult fantasy, is trying to solve murder and also break free of a corrupt system. So it's a little bit cliche, it sounds, but I love the cover. I think the setting sounds quite good and I really enjoy a good dark fantasy, so that's why this one is on the list. Then we have Time's Undoing. This one comes out on the 28th of February. This is also a debut novel and it's also told in dual timelines. The first one is set in Birmingham in 1929, Birmingham, USA, Alabama, not Birmingham, UK. And I think it's kind of a generational story from what I can tell. So back in 1929, the main character is a carpenter. I think he gets murdered, and then in 2019, the main character is a descendant of this man, the carpenter, and she is also a reporter and she's looking into the murder and trying to solve it. I love stories like this. Generational stories, stories about solving a mystery or a secret from the past. I imagine this also covers tough topics like segregation, racism in the South, because the main characters are black, and it says it's also inspired by true events. So I really want to get my hands on this one. I don't know if it's coming out in the UK in February, but I will be looking for it in the library just in case it is. My Flawless Life comes out on the 14th of February. This one is a YA book. I think it's a contemporary thriller sort of thing. It says that it's for fans of Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson, which I really enjoyed. I loved that book. It's set in a boarding school in Washington DC. I love rich people drama, and that's definitely what this is going to be. I'm not going to read too much else about it though because it's a mystery thriller. I don't want it to give anything away, just in case. Africatown is also coming out on the 21st of February. This is a non-fiction book. I think it's the only non-fiction on this list actually. In this, the author is charting the history of America from those who were brought there as slaves, and I think it's also following their descendants. It says that it starts off in 1860 when a ship was smuggled through the Alabama Gulf Coast carrying the last group of enslaved people ever brought to the US from West Africa, and then I think it carries on through the years. This sounds really interesting. Hopefully it'll be really informative and I'm looking forward to reading it. I couldn't do this video without mentioning The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. This is by the author of City of Brass, which I love. It's my all-time favourite trilogy, and this is the first book in a new series by her. This one was brought forward a week, so it was originally coming out in March, but now it's coming out on the 28th of February in the US, and I think the 2nd of March in the UK. I do have an ARC copy of this and I'm going to read it as soon as I can, maybe next week, so I can do a full review of it. I'm really excited. This is historical fiction with some fantasy and also pirates. The main character is a retired pirate who comes out of retirement to go on one last mission. I love stories and tropes like that. So good. I'm really looking forward to reading this one and meeting Shannon Chakraborty's new characters. I think I'm going to fall in love with them. Next we have a YA horror, which is City of Nightmares. It says that this one is Gotham meets Strange the Dreamer. I've never seen Gotham and I've never read Strange the Dreamer, so I don't really know what to expect from this, but I think it's like a dark urban fantasy horror book. One of the sentences is, ever since her sister became a man-eating spider and slaughtered her way through town, 19-year-old Ness has been terrified. So yeah, I don't really know what to make of that, but I think it sounds quite good and intriguing. Next we have Victory City. This one is set in 14th century India. It says here that the main character has a divine encounter which changes the course of history, and then over the next 250 years her life becomes deeply interwoven with Bisnagas. I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. As she attempts to make good on the task that the goddess set for her. I think this sounds quite good and that's why I put it on the list. Next we have another thriller that's coming out on the 28th of February. This one is It's One of Us by J.T. Ellison. This one is blurbed by Ruth Ware, who is one of my all-time favourite thriller authors, so that's promising. This is about a couple who have been trying for a baby, and the police knock on the couple's door one evening and tell them that the husband's child has been involved in a crime. However, as you may have picked up, this couple have been struggling to try for a baby, and it turns out that the husband actually donated some sperm a while back and the child seems to be involved in a murder investigation. So I think this sounds quite interesting. I'm really into DNA and genealogy. I don't know if this is going to really go into that, but I think it sounds quite interesting. It's an interesting and unique concept, I think. Then we have The Crane Husband, which comes out at the end of the month as well. This one is another novella short story. I don't know if I'll pick this one up anytime soon because, again, I don't really read many short stories or novellas, but if anyone tells me this is really good, then I'll definitely add it to my cart. This is a retelling of The Crane Wife, in case you didn't get that from the name. I don't really know loads about it, and because it's only a short story, I don't want to read the synopsis in case it gives anything away, but I think it's about a teenage girl who is kind of looking after the entire family while her mum is an artist who weaves tapestries, and that's all I know. Sounds quite good. Next we have the Terraformers, which comes out in the UK on the 2nd of February, I think. I've read a book by this author before and did enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. I think it's like climate fiction, which I do really enjoy. The main character is part of an environmental team who are trying to terraform, I believe, a new planet, and she starts to discover more about the past and the history behind this terraforming, or her company, I suppose. It says here that the book takes you on a journey spanning thousands of years and exploring the triumphs, strife and hope that finds us wherever we make our home. I think this sounds really, really good. I know some people who have read it already and enjoyed it, so I've got high hopes for this one. I do have a review copy of this one from NetGalley, so I'm hoping to read that soon. Next we have All the Dangerous Things, which came out on the 2nd of February in the UK. I think it came out in January in the US. This is by the author of A Flicker in the Dark, which I did really, really enjoy. I read that one in January and thought it was really good, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. This one follows a mother whose toddler son is taken out of his room and snatched away in the night, and that's all I really need to know because it's a thriller and I don't want to know any more than that. But the thought of someone coming into the house and stealing a baby really scares me, or taking anything, like someone coming in while I'm sleeping, is nightmare fuel, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to reading this one soon. I might try and read it in February because I do have a review copy of it, but I'm also kind of waiting for it to come in from the library because I want to read a physical copy. 6 Times We Almost Kissed by Tess Sharp comes out on the 2nd of February in the UK. I think it came out in January in the US. This is a YA contemporary about 2 lesbians, I think. Yeah, I'm not really getting much from the synopsis of this one. I do have a review copy of this one as well, actually, because I really enjoy Tess Sharp's writing. I've read quite a few of her books now, and I do find them very entertaining, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. This next one, called Hungry Ghosts, comes out on the 7th of February, and this one sounds fantastic. I've already requested it from the library. I do have a review copy from NetGalley, but I want to read it in physical format. I was considering pre-ordering the book, but I don't know. I've already bought a bunch of books this year, so I don't really want to do it again just quite this soon. This is set in the 1940s in Trinidad. It says here that it's nearing the end of American occupation and British colonialism. The main characters live on a farm. Dalton, the husband, goes missing and Marlo's safety is compromised. It says that it's a searing novel of religion, class, family and historical violence. Trinidad isn't a setting I've really read much about. I've read one book from Tobago and that was a YA contemporary romance. So this is very, very different. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into this and reading more about Trinidad's history. Next we have Pod, which is coming out in the UK on the 7th of February, I think. This is about dolphins. The main character is a dolphin who I think is exploring the true meaning of family or something. This is by the author of, I think it's called The Bees, so this synopsis will probably make more sense if you've read The Bees because it's the same sort of style, I think. It says here that tragedy strikes the main character's family and the dolphin main character feels that she is partly to blame. I think this is going to be very emotional and I love the sound of it. It sounds a bit weird, and I'm okay with that. I think I'll really enjoy it. On the 14th of February, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride comes out. This is by Roshni Chokshi, and it's a gothic fantasy, I think, maybe with a bit of horror thrown in. I haven't actually read the synopsis for this one, but I assume it's good. The synopsis compares it to Mexican Gothic, because all gothic novels are compared to that at the moment, and also The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It says here, the house slowly reveals the wife's secrets and threatens to destroy their marriage or their lives, so I think it sounds quite good. Very mysterious. I won't be picking this up immediately because I haven't read any. Actually, I think this is Roshni Chokshi's first adult book, so obviously I haven't read any of their other adult books, but I'm gonna wait for some more reviews of this one. I'm gonna wait for some of my friends to read it, I think, before I decide to go ahead and order it. I'm hoping this one comes into the library because this would be a good one to get from there, I think. Next we have For Her Consideration, which is a sapphic romance book. This is about a female scriptwriter in Hollywood who falls for a female movie star, and that's all I need to know. I really enjoy books about famous people and romance and stuff. Their romance, not romance generally, so I think this one does sound really good and I'm looking forward to picking it up. On the 28th of February, She Is a Haunting comes out. This is another gothic horror book. This time I think it's YA. That's it, the main character has gone back to Vietnam to visit her estranged father. Her one goal is to survive 5 weeks pretending to be a happy family in the French colonial house Bar is restoring. Night after night, Jade wakes up paralysed. The walls exude a thrumming sound. while bugs leave their legs and feelers in places where they don't belong. I think this sounds really creepy and I hate stuff about bugs, so I'm gonna get my hands on this one. It sounds quite good and really creepy. We also have The Angel Maker coming out on the 28th of February. This is a mystery thriller book by the author of The Whisper Man and another book. I can't remember what that one's called though. This one follows Katie, who lives in the English countryside. I'm curious to find out where. It says here that a violent stranger changed the fate of her family forever, and that's all I'm going to read. I quite enjoy Alex North's books actually, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. Then I have some questions for you. This one comes out on the 21st of February, and I also have a copy of this one from NetGalley. I've requested too many books from NetGalley. I'm a bit behind. This is about a film professor and podcaster called Bodhi who wants to forget her past. A school invites her back to teach a course, and she's obviously quite nervous, and she has to help solve a previous crime or mystery or something. Again, it's a thriller book that I'm not going to read the whole synopsis of in case it gives anything away. You never know with thriller synopses, but this one sounds really good, and I'm hoping to read it very soon because I love the sound of it. I think it's going to be very thrilling. On the 22nd of February we have The Wilderness Retreat, not to be confused with The Writing Retreat like I did, and that's the reason I requested this one from NetGalley in the first place. It says here that the main character drops her son off at university and is devastated. It's been the two of them ever since Asher was born. The only thing helping her through is the upcoming week-long wilderness retreat in Sweden, and then I imagine people start to die because it's a thriller book, and that sounds quite good. And finally, the last one of this new releases list is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is the prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree, which I haven't read. I just thought I'd put this on the list in case you were interested and you weren't sure when this one was coming out. I don't know anything about it. Something about dragons, I imagine. I will pick up Priory of the Orange Tree at some point. I just don't know when because it's intimidating. I might pick it up if I ever see it in a charity shop or something, and then I won't be buying the book brand new. But I'm sure a lot of people are really excited for this one, and so that's why I wanted to put it on this list. Those are all the new releases that I'm looking forward to in February 2023. This is a very long list and I'm losing my voice, but hopefully you found some new books that you might want to pick up. If you want me to read any of these in particular, then let me know in the comments below and I can do a reading vlog on them. I think I'm still working on the January new releases reading vlog because that kind of went out of the window when I didn't enjoy several of the books that I picked up, but I promise I will try my best to get to them soonish. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know which of these you're excited for in the comments below, or if I've missed any out, tell me in the comments, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye!